All right, so I'm gonna ask some questions to spark the discussion. So feel free to raise your hand and be passionate if you want to. Um, how do you view Jefferson Davis's legacy? How has your interpretation of his reputation evolved since secession and the beginning of the Civil War?
He's our hero.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you say like who you are before.
Oh, sorry. We're Southern yeoman farmers.
Mm.
That's my wife.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he was our hero. There's been no greater man before, so that's pretty much, I mean, we've been crying for days now.
Does anyone disagree with that?
As a Quaker woman from New Hampshire, I'd have to say that although death is a sad process and one that should be mourned, and I have compassion for those who have lost what to them is their hero, he cannot be seen as a hero in the eyes of all, for unfortunately he was a misguided man who believed in inequality, which under no circumstances is acceptable, as inequality just fosters war. And while we disagree between North and South, we should be able to live in peace.
So if I'm writing this article about Jefferson Davis, he just died. You know what? I should put him in as a bad man.
Not a bad man, perhaps a confused man.
Confused man. So he's not really a hero, is he?
Well, he did commit his life to the freeing of the South, and that we as a people were free, not necessarily the slaves, but I mean, they were all a part of our business. Sorry, I'm a southern plantation owner, and he kept the South free in that he tried to, and then the North got to take over anyway. But slavery was a business, and after it was abolished, I mean, we suffered a lot.
As his wife, I just want to say that yes, it would lead to a loss of income when the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, but I don't think this business could expend lives, like exploit lives like they did during slavery, and I think that the freeing of slaves was actually positive for the nation.
Do you ever say that to your husband, or is that something new?
She doesn't get to talk.
Yeah, I kept pretty quiet until he was bedridden, and I kind of voiced my opinion after that.
Interesting.
As a freed black slave living in Philadelphia, I do not support Jefferson Davis, and I want civil rights for all Americans, but I don't want to stir up too much controversy or be too public about what I think, so I'll just be quiet now.
All right.
Yeah, as a Northern abolitionist, this is the day I've been waiting for so long, and I've been like discussed for day one when I heard Jefferson Davis talk at his inauguration, and yeah, I think it's a phenomenal day. Like, he passed away.
So what advice would you have given to Davis on his inauguration day? Think back, like 20, 30 years.
Wait, what advice?
As an abolitionist, what do you wish he said in that address?
I mean, I wish he would have recognized that like slavery is an evil thing, that he shouldn't have supported that.
So you don't think slavery was justified, even if it helped, the economy of the North? You don't think,
I
you
think
know-
it's in general an evil thing. I'm really for civil rights. I don't think people should be treated like I think people should be treated equally. So,
really? Both races? Sure about that?
yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's kind of important in this whole dialogue on Jefferson Davis to kind of remember that he was one head of state, but there was another head of state that was also incredibly important. And in my work writing a biography of Abraham Lincoln, I just think it's important to remember that he was incredibly courageous and tried to hold the Union together while Jefferson Davis was just this man that was trying to tear it apart. I think we really need to remember everything that Lincoln did, his strength in trying to bring the Union closer, as well as free the slaves and just try to keep us as one Union.
Good.
I agree. As a Baptist preacher from Central Tennessee who was freed from slavery after the Civil War, I guess although the Bible advocates forgiveness, I do appreciate what Abraham Lincoln did over what Jefferson Davis did, because Jefferson Davis did try to keep me in slavery for the rest of my life. So I can't say that that he was a hero at all. And I think that people who think that he was a hero are mistaken. But I guess now that he's dead, I don't think he deserves to go to hell or anything, but I do think that what he did was wrong, and he should face that.
Would you forgive him now that he's passed away?
I wouldn't forgive him, but I guess I can't harbor any okay, maybe I will forgive him, but I do harbor resentment because he was the leader of the cause to keep me enslaved. So.
Again, as a Southern yeoman farmer, this wasn't about slavery. He should be honored as a hero. As we look back on him, he was trying to restore states' rights for the Confederacy, and I think that we should remember all that he did is the lost cause. It will forever be that.
I agree. As a northerner in the banking industry who also served in the Union Army, I believe that Jefferson will make a negative impact, and the succession will have a negative impact on the country and break apart the Union. And I believe he's a traitor, and he will not be missed.
Traitor.
Yes, traitor.
Strong words.
I believe that.
Does anyone want to use the quote from the inauguration address to support your claim or to make a claim?
Jefferson Davis said that he was referring to God. He liked to be a man of religion, especially during his inauguration speech. And as a woman of religion myself, I don't believe that he was actually saying and doing are two different things. And what Jefferson Davis did was try to inspire people with false talks of peace, while I actually practiced peace. And Jefferson Davis said, "His favor, ever gratefully acknowledged, we may hopefully look forward to success, to peace, and to prosperity," and then proceeded to launch into the Civil War. He didn't hold back. He let the fighting ensue. Now, whatever outcome may have come from that, in terms of religious beliefs, he did not adhere to his. There was no consistency in his words.
Well, Davis asked for an appeal to arms and to invoke the blessings of providence on a just cause. Obviously, the cause was not just, and they lost. So the blessings were not received very kindly by God. As one of God's children, I believe that God sees him as poorly as I do. So.
Do you think God was the one that helped the Union win the Civil War?
I think so, because we were fighting a just cause.
Jefferson Davis said that governments rest upon the consent of the governed, and it's the right of the people to alter or abolish governments whenever they become destructive ends for which they were established. And that's what happened here. We had a right to rebel because the North was just like Great Britain. It was economic then and it's economic now. Just because they wanted to control everything we did, we had the right to try to secede. Jefferson Davis was the spearhead of what we did, and for that, we'll be forever grateful.
Jefferson Davis said there can be but little rivalry between ours and any manufacturing or navigating communities such as the
So it's better to have freed blacks than have slaves that are just giving you the cotton that fuels your job every day,
Yes.
even if it means you make less money, and they're competing for your job.
The Northeast is still doing pretty well. So yes.
Jefferson Davis is kind of a conflicted person. He argued that the Union perverted the Constitution by trying to get rid of slavery, and therefore the South had an obligation to end the pact made between the states. When really the perversion was Jefferson Davis himself trying to dissolve the Union that all the states had entered into.
As the wife of a Northern professional, I think Jefferson Davis is just cheating. He said that we have restored to the remedy of separation, but my man is still fighting in the war front, and I think the nation is still separated. I think he is just cheating.
Wait, your man is still fighting?
Yeah, he has fought for 3 years.
Oh, so he... Oh, okay. How'd you feel when he was fighting? Because the Civil War is over now, right? Or it's
Yeah.
1889. But how'd you feel when he was fighting? It's okay.
What again? Sorry.
How'd you feel when he was fighting? When he wasn't there?
Oh, I feel I need to have my strong political opinions and to support the North, and I feel like he will come back and the Union will succeed.
So do you blame Jefferson Davis for taking away your husband for 3 years?
Yes.
Interesting. Alright. Anyone have any parting shots?
What's the purpose of your article?
The purpose of my article is to kind of construct a balanced feature, a balanced obituary. I want to take the opinions of people across the country that have assembled today. Thank you for coming. It was very nice of you. And I just want to get all your guys' opinions so I can write the most balanced article possible, which is going to be pretty hard because you have a lot of different opinions, but I'm going to try my best. And yes, thank you.